The world of Warships Legends PC beta has officially sailed into the sunset. What you're looking at right now is the home screen, specifically the New York harbor with Azur Lane, New Jersey sitting at anchor. And I want you to take just a moment to appreciate it. The Brooklyn Bridge in the background, cars crossing it, the way the light catches the water, the detail on the hull. This is running on my PC at 4K with max settings and ray tracing enabled. Coming from playing this on my PS4, it is literally a night and day difference. It genuinely looks like a different game to me. I played the beta from March 12th until it ended on the 15th, and while the 4K HDR visuals are undeniably stunning, my final livestream on Sunday night revealed some cracks in the hull. Today we're looking at the lessons learned, the good, the bad, and the literally invisible. This is a follow-up to my original PC beta walkthrough video. There's a link in the description if you haven't seen it. In that video I went through the UI, the settings, the differences between the PC and console versions. Today we're going deeper. We're talking about what actually happened when I tried to play this thing live on stream on the final night of the beta. For those of you who just joined the channel, welcome. Drop a comment below and let me know how your beta experience went. And if you haven't subscribed yet, we're closing in on 200 and everyone counts. So hit those like and subscribe buttons. Now, let's move on to the performance. Let's start off with the good, the performance. Simply put, this game looks really good compared to what I'm used to seeing on my PS4. What you're looking at here is the settings menu. 4K HDR enabled. Graphics are at the very high preset, the highest available. Ray tracing at SSRT Ultra. VSync is off. FPS capped at 240. This is everything maxed out. Enough talk about the settings. Let's see how it looks in game. As we get into the gameplay, you can see some other players are also on the Steam beta. Being on the live servers and having crossplay working right out of the gate? Yes, please. If you saw my Anyone Home video from last year's playtest, you'll know that wasn't always the case. Even with the graphics settings maxed out, I'm getting over 110 frames per second consistently while streaming and recording simultaneously. This clip really showcases that 4K HDR stuff too. It's a dawn or dusk setting and the sun is low on the horizon. Take a look at the way it reflects off the water. It's exactly the kind of thing that makes you appreciate the jump from the console. I'm in the Blazing Dread and that lava magma camel looks pretty incredible too. I just ate a whole bunch of the bombs from that Harlem airstrike, which of course caused a fire on my ship. We trade a few shots back and forth, earning me some defend ribbons. Check out the flame and smoke effects against the sun, the particle effects, the lighting, the water. This is what max settings at 4K looks like. The visuals are stunning, even if you're on the receiving end. Here's some footage from another game I played on stream, and it's a completely different visual. I'm at the helm of the AL Baltimore in a rainy match. We've got overcast skies with some sun breaking through, but the rain is coming down. There are reflections off the choppy water. I wasn't in line of sight of anyone on the red team, so I popped my radar and immediately picks up the Friesland that was spotting me. I remember saying on stream, "Oh, I feel sorry for this guy, he's got nowhere to run." What follows is a close-range gun battle, shells going back and forth. He gets a fire going in my ship, but he never stood a chance. Last place he wanted to be was up against the border with a full health Balti closing in. He's sent back to port in relatively short order. Two very different visual scenarios, two different ships, both running smoothly at max settings. The optimization on this engine is very well done. The 4070 Super isn't breaking a sweat while I play, stream, and record. But as we saw on stream, all that horsepower doesn't matter if the software itself hits a wall, and on the final night of the beta, it absolutely did. So here's the bad, but I want to set the scene before we get into it. I've been playing the beta for a number of days without a single issue. Multiple sessions, multiple games, rock solid, genuinely no real complaints. So I go live for the final night of the beta, excited to show off what this thing can do, fire up the first game of the stream, and mid-match the client just crashes out, as you just saw. Gone. My reaction at the time was basically, oh sure, I play the data all day long without a problem, but my first game on stream and it crashes on me. Classic. Up goes the be right back screen while I scramble to restart the client. Now, crashes happen in a beta. That's part of why beta testing exists. You're running pre-release software on a huge variety of hardware configurations under real-world conditions. A crash isn't a scandal. But what happens next tells you a lot about how seriously the developers actually thought about the player experience. You just saw I was able to reconnect into the same live match. The game was still running without me. My ship had presumably been sitting there doing nothing for a couple of minutes while the match continued around it. And when I got back in, I was right back in the fight. The reconnect feature was a bigger deal than it might seem. In a lot of games, a client crash mid-match means that match is just gone. You eat the loss, you lose any progress, you move on. Here the server held the session open and let me back in. That's a real quality of life feature, and it worked exactly as it should. I get back into the game, I can see a Heinrich about 14 kilometers off my starboard bow. There's a San Diego about 17 kilometers ahead of me. The match is still going. Everything looks fine. And then it starts to get a little strange. This is what I'm calling the ghost ship bug. And I want to walk through exactly what happened because I think it's important. After reconnecting some, but not all, some enemy ships were completely invisible. You can see right here, there are shells coming in at me. There's no smoke screen there. There's no line of sight issue, but no ship. The muzzle flashes are there, but the ship itself, just gone. By this point, I've been playing blind for a while. Eventually, somebody does finish the job, and you can see those final rounds coming in here and sinking me. Honestly, I'm pretty relieved. I click return to port, confirm that I want to leave, and wait for the main screen to come back. Except it doesn't. This is that intermediate loading screen, the one that normally lasts like a couple of seconds between leaving a battle and returning to port, but it's just sitting there. While we're watching the frozen screen, let me explain what I think happened with the ghost ship bug because it's actually interesting from a technical standpoint. The server clearly knew exactly where every ship was. My minimap was showing contacts correctly. I was taking real damage from real shells. Hits were registering, fires were starting. The server data was completely intact. This was a client-side rendering failure. Something in the reconnect handshake didn't fully reinitialize the render state for enemy ship models. The server said, "There's a ship here." The client said, "Got it, but I'm not going to draw it." The game logic was working, but the visuals weren't. What makes it particularly interesting is that it wasn't all ships. Some rendered correctly. You remember that Prince Heinrich. Some didn't. This suggests it's not a blanket failure of the rendering system, but something more specific to how individual ship objects are initialized when the client reconnects mid-session. A full fresh session works fine, a reconnect mid-match doesn't fully rebuild the scene. That's a very specific bug and one that would be easy to miss in a standard QA test. You'd have to specifically crash and rejoin to reproduce it. Wargaming, if your QA team is watching, those are your reproduction steps. Crash the client mid-match, use the reconnect feature, and check whether all enemy ships are rendering correctly when you get back in. Anyway, back to the frozen screen. I'm moving the mouse. You can see the pointer moving, but nothing's responding. I'm clicking, pressing escape, trying every key I can think of, but nothing. On stream, I said, "Wargaming, this really isn't a good look. I'm trying to show off how well the beta is going, and you're making it pretty difficult." And then after trying everything, well, nothing's working. I can move the mouse, see the pointer on screen, but clicking and pressing keys does absolutely nothing. Looks like I'm going to have to force close this and start it up again. This goes on for nearly 2 minutes, just a frozen screen, my mouse moving, me running out of things to try. The irony is that the reconnect feature worked perfectly. Getting back into the match was seamless. It was getting back out of it that broke it down. So I Alt-Tab out, open the task manager, and kill the process. That's 2 forced restarts in a single session, both triggered by that same initial crash. The Be Right Back screen is up again while I get the client running for the second time. And now we're back. The main screen is loading again, and at this point on stream I was laughing about it more than anything. It's a beta, and this is the kind of thing that's supposed to happen. Better to find it now than at full launch. Now, completely separately from the crash and the ghost ships, I want to show you something I spotted later on. I go into the recent battles list here, and this is where I noticed something that caught my eye. Right there on the bottom, where it should be showing the map name for each battle, it's showing this IDS __ header text. That's obviously not right. We've got 3 bugs, 1 session, the ghost ships, the hang, and now this text rendering. None of these are fundamental engine problems. The performance is there, the game runs beautifully, and these are exactly the kind of issues a beta is designed to surface, so consider them surfaced. Alright, let's step back from the bugs for a minute and talk about something a little less dramatic but equally worth covering, the UI. One of the first things I said in my original walkthrough video is that the UI looks like a mashup of the World of Warships PC game and the Legends console game. And that's still the best way I can describe it. It's not bad, but it's not quite right for either audience. The specific thing that kept bugging me, no pun intended, is the lack of right-click functionality. On PC, right-clicking is the universal language for show me more about this thing. Right-click a ship, show me the specs. Right-click a commander, show me the build. That's just how desktop software works, and it's been that way for more than 30 years. Instead, what you have to do is, to get to a ship details, is click on one of the ribbons at the bottom, the boosters or the camo section, which then gives you a path to the ship specs, upgrades, and statistics. It works, it's just clunky. You're taking an indirect route to something that should be one click away. It feels like a console navigation pattern that hasn't been adapted for mouse and keyboard yet. Once you're in there, it's fine. You can see upgrades, specs, statistics, all of it. The information is there. The path to get there is just longer than it needs to be. The same thing applies to commanders. You click on the commander icon, which takes you to the commander list. Then you have to click on that same commander in the list to actually get to their build and inspiration details. 2 clicks to get to something you already clicked on. It's a minor thing, but it adds up when you're trying to quickly check a build or compare commanders. I want to be clear, this is a minor annoyance and not a deal breaker. Legends was built for console after all, and the console navigation philosophy is baked into every menu. On console, it makes complete sense. Everything is driven by buttons and bumpers. On PC with a mouse, it just feels like a missed opportunity. You have a precision pointing device that can do so much more. Right-click context menus would solve this entirely. It's fixable, and I hope it's on the roadmap for the full launch. So here's where I land on this. The foundations of this game on PC are genuinely solid. The performance is there, the 4K HDR visuals are stunning, and I mean that not as a throwaway compliment, but as someone who's been playing this on a PS4 for years and can clearly see the difference. The crossplay works, the Reconnect feature works, and that last one matters more than people might realize because a game that can recover from a crash mid-match is a game that respects your time. The issues I ran into, the ghost ships, the hang, the IDS labels, all of them are fixable. None of them are the game is fundamentally broken problems. They're the session management and localization pipeline need more work problems. That's a very different thing, and right-click context menus, genuinely that's probably a couple of weeks of UI work. If Wargaming can address the Reconnect rendering bug, clean up the localization pipeline, and add some native PC UI elements before the full Steam launch, this is going to be the definitive way to play Legends. I really believe that. A quick shout out too for the new subscribers who joined during the stream and the last couple of videos. We're really close to 200 and every one of you matters, and I just want to say thanks for showing up. If you haven't seen my original PC beta walkthrough video, I've linked it in the description. It covers the full UI comparison between the PC and console versions. It's worth a watch before the full launch. Drop a comment below and let me know, did you run into the ghost ship bug? Did your game hang after a match? Did you see any other of those IDS labels anywhere? I want to know how widespread these were across different hardware and different sessions, and if you played the beta and have thoughts of your own, share them. The more data points we can put together, the better picture we're going to have going into the full launch. Until then, I'll catch you next time.